Welcome to the Iowa Everywhere Studio. I'm your host, Lisa Fox. Joining me today is Laura Peterson, a longtime friend who has recently started her own architecture firm with a group of 3 other partners. She talks about some of her favorite projects that you will know from the community. It's a great, interesting conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. It is a pleasure to have in the studio with me today a force of nature. Laura Peterson is with Unison Design Studio. And you are 5 weeks old, Laura?
Yeah, we launched on November 10th. So, yeah, I think we're in week 5.
I love it.
It's been a whirlwind.
It has been a whirlwind. Well, I saw it online, and I know personally how many cool projects that you've been a part of throughout your career. And now that I've got a Made in Iowa podcast, we can talk about all the cool buildings that you have made or been a part of.
I think it's one of the coolest things about our profession as an architect is you get to see the thing that you dreamed up in your head. And if you do it in Iowa, you get to drive by it every day and see it over its lifespan. And one of the coolest things about being an architect.
And I hang out in one of your buildings a lot, the Waukee Innovation Learning Center. I office out of there probably 3 days a week. So thank you for that gorgeous building.
It's beautiful. And that's one of the projects to see over the lifespan, what we talked about 10 years ago when we were designing it, like to see how that building has been used over its lifespan, all the cool stories that have come out of it, all the people that have touched it, just one of those projects that's been really cool to watch.
Let's talk about that project in particular and the thoughtful design. I mean, the garage doors, the ventilation system. I think a lot of us don't know the full extent of the architect's hands in everything that we see.
I think that that's one of the projects that maybe followed a different path too, which is what makes it so interesting, Lisa, is usually when you come in as an architect, people say, we already have an elementary school. We're going to design a new one. This is what we want different. We know what teaching and learning looks like. And when we went to start the Waukee Innovation and Learning Center, they said, we're ready to turn education on its head. And we said, okay, great. What does that mean for space? And they said, we have no idea. Like, we don't know what we want to do in this building. Let's come up with it with you. And so Dr. Dave Wilkerson was the superintendent at the time, and he said project and really got to go on a really cool discovery process with them as an owner to figure out what was education going to look like. And every time we would ask them, they would have a million answers to what it might look like. And so it was a really interesting project. It started to become about, what do you know you're not going to do in the building? And so eventually it started to be, we're not going to fix cars in this building. We're not going to bring animals in the building. And we took things off the table. And not pinning down exactly what they're going to do in the building is actually, I think, what made that design beautiful, is because we didn't know. And so we had to be flexible and really flexible in how it was laid out, garage doors to make the space feel different. You can reconfigure that space. I've watched them turn a space that was for advanced manufacturing is now for sports and PT. And so really thinking what we say flexible all the time, but really having to be flexible because they couldn't tell us what they were going to do in the building. And so just a great project to be a part of, to really think through how can we design it to not hold them back in the future in any way, shape, or form. And then we got to see they did kind of hit the limit of what they could do in the building. They said, this has been great, but we need some messy space. And so just wrapped up the addition onto that
And so you were a part of that as well.
Yeah, I got to be a part of round 2 of that building. Always, you plan a spaceship triangular shaped building, and then how do you add on to it? So that was a great adventure, and just great to continue to be a part of that district and that program story.
It is so cool. So education is one of Unison's key industries. Yeah. Talk about the other industries that you're serving.
Yeah, so we have a lot of expertise. We'll be 11 strong as of January 5th, but a ton of expertise, 145 years of experience between the 11 of us, really across a lot of markets, but really focus in education, K-12, and also higher education, and then also healthcare. But I've also done a lot of community project, or sometimes we call them kind of junk drawer projects, like the projects that you never dream up. So distilleries, brewing companies, historic preservation projects, retail, commercial, adaptive reuse. That's one of the beauties of being in Iowa, is you can work on a lot of different things. And so we have some deep expertise in education and healthcare, but also a lot of other things.
Okay, as a beer lover, I've got to know, what breweries were you a part of?
So one of my partners has done both the single speed brewing in Waterloo and here in Des Moines. And we also got to be a part of the Kinship Brewing Company that was out in Waukegan. It's not open anymore, but a beautiful building and a great project to be a part of.
It is such a cool building, and I bike by there all the time. The Kinship building, for those of you that don't know, it's sort of on the north. It would be west side of Waukegan.
About as far as you can go.
It is. It's almost to Adele.
Yes.
And it just kind of sits out there by itself. I think it was just ahead of its time.
It was.
The community just wasn't as developed that far west. So, but a beautiful, beautiful facility. Let's go back to your roots in architecture. When did you know, at what age, that you wanted to become an architect?
I'm the kind of person that decides I'm going to do something and then I just do it and I go all in on it. And so in fourth grade, my art teacher told me, Laura, you're really good at math and you're really good at art. I think you should consider a career in architecture. And I decided within a week, like, that's what I'm going to do. And my parents say I never wavered. I decided that's what I was going to do in fourth grade. I went all in. I researched it. By ninth grade, I knew Iowa State was going to be the path for me, being local with such a great College of Design program locally. Plus my dad saying, in-state tuition is really a great path forward for you. And so, decided in fourth grade and have really never looked back as a career. Didn't know this is where it was going to take me, but have loved almost every minute of it.
And talk to the students that might be listening to this about that path, and how difficult was it, and what were some of the frustrations as you went through school?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a path that no matter where you go to school, it's intense. And that's kind of part of the design of those programs, is to really put you through kind of the ringer and the pressure experiences. So depending on where you go to school, they can be more engineering, math-based or design-based. But lots of late nights working on projects, dreaming things up, really trying to come up with creative solutions, kind of being put through the ringer on critiques, being told like your project's good, but it's not an A+ profession. No one ever says that's perfect, you've nailed it. And so went through the program at Iowa State, got the opportunity to spend a semester in Rome, meet a lot of professionals. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Yeah, meet a lot of professionals. And really, really had a great time kind of through college, but it's a challenging path, and that's kind of the design of the program, is like cut your teeth in college. Hopefully you make it through.
Cross your fingers and keep your head down and study hard.
And then that's kind of how the profession goes to. It's definitely a profession where you come in from the beginning at the ground. You do a lot of kind of gritty work. You're not designing beautiful buildings for day one, but just a ton to learn. I think it's a profession where every day you're learning more. And even at my age, and I see my partners in their mid-50s, like, you never know it all in architecture. And that's one of the beauties of the profession, is there's always more to kind of figure out. Every day is a new challenge.
Let's talk about your decision to break off and start an entirely new company.
I think that I grew up never thinking this was the path I was going to go on. There's a lot of people that say, like, I always knew I was going to be a business owner. Like, I have always been entrepreneurial in spirit. Wasn't my personal background. My parents spent their entire careers at the same company.
Really?
Never in a management kind of position, loyalty to its core as a piece of it. And that's how I started my career. Spent 17 amazing years at the same company where I learned everything that I know. I'm really grateful for a lot of great mentors.
17 years is a lifetime anymore.
It is.
You don't hear about people your age spending that kind of time at one company.
I started there as a student intern and just
and never
left, and had a great experience. But sometime over the past few years, just really realized that I was at a company that was on a really big growth path, and that was really exciting for a lot of people. We were getting the best projects and kind of at the top of kind of Iowa architecture firms. Really had a lot of amazing opportunities. but started to feel maybe more disconnected from my projects and my clients, at least, kind of from my past, like being connected to the people I work with and relationships and like coaching young people and seeing a project all the way through with the clients. Those are really core things. And at some point, just kind of had a gut check in the last year or so and said, something isn't quite lined up. It's not quite right. And it took me a long time to kind of realize it and say it out loud because was very grateful for the company I was at and all those relationships, but realized like I needed something new. My family needed something new. I needed to be able to be home a little bit more and be in control of it. And found a few other people that were in a similar kind of situation. And so spent some time evaluating options and decided, let's give it a try. One of my friends, I called one of my best friends from college. She's a small business owner. And I called her and I said, I don't know if I can do this. And she said, Laura, it's not forever. It doesn't have to be forever. Just take a risk.
One step in front of the other, right?
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other.
And so, made the decision, put a ton of work into trying to craft a business, something I knew nothing about. That's not anything they talk to you about in architecture school, how to write a business plan, how to get loans, all the insurances you need. It's nothing they talk about, but figured it out with a lot of really smart partners and a lot of other businesses supporting us. And 5 weeks ago launched. So
Woo!
Here we are.
Let's talk about the name.
Yep.
Unison.
I think that we come from a profession where a lot of people named things after themselves. There's a lot of companies that are 3 names, 5 initials, initials. And really what we wanted to craft was something that wasn't about us. And while there are 4 founders, we have 7 other kind of employees right now that are just as integral into our story. And so it's really not about the 4 of us. It's about doing this thing together. So doing it together, not only internally, but also with our clients. Our clients are the experts in what they do every day. Our clients are the experts in what they really need. And we're just here to pull it out of them and give them a beautiful thing to do it in. And so really doing it in unison with them is another piece of it. And then lastly, doing it in unison with our trade partners. There are a ton of great contractors in this area that know a ton, and we should respect that they know a ton. And so it's not a kind of one person process. So engaging everyone really in that process.
Oh, I love it. Let's talk about your partners.
Yep. I have 3 amazing partners. Mike Bechtel has spent most of his career kind of in the Des Moines area. He's a Kansas State grad. We like to give him a hard time about that. The rest of us are the Iowa State grads. And has really spent his whole career as a generalist, touching a lot of different kind of project types. He's really known for being a thoughtful designer. He's our best designer, always has the big ideas and challenges us to do better every single day.
Oh, that's cool.
I've spent my whole career with him. He's one of my very first mentors, so really excited to be next to him.
Wow.
And then we have Becky Hansel. She spent most of her career locally and in healthcare, so kind of known statewide for leading healthcare projects. Really great mentor too, and has brought a lot of people along with her. And then lastly, Justin Bailey. We wouldn't be where we are without him, because he's the person that says like, okay guys, time to stop dreaming. We got to actually get things done. So
you got to have a driver.
He's right? Our driver, foot on the gas. Also specializes kind of in healthcare, senior living, and kind of developer-based work. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's cast your mind back over your career. What has been your favorite project?
I think I'm going to cop out. I'm going to pick 2, Lisa.
Okay. That's fine. We've got time.
So I think we already talked about one, which is the Waukee Innovation and Learning Center. That was my very first K-12 project. And then since then, I've really spent the last 10 years of my career only working on school projects.
Wow.
And I was put on that project because I knew nothing about schools. And that was part of the mission of that project, was to rethink schools. But being able to be a part of that project and really kind of being on the cusp of Iowa schools recreating what education looks like at a high school level, because kids were demanding it and industry was demanding it, not because education was really driving the change, but consumers, the kids and industry were driving the change.
Well, and I will tell you, Laura, I just read an article about the demand for skilled trades and this shift that we're going through right now that is going to demand it even more. With AI replacing a lot of those middle skilled service jobs, we've got to rethink things. And the demand for all things skilled trade is higher and higher. And try to call a plumber, right?
Right.
You can't find one. And they get paid a gazillion dollars. So let's equip those kids. And one of the things I've learned in my work with IJAG, Iowa's Jobs for America's Graduates, is they need to picture themselves doing that work. And the thing I love about the Wilk is you go into some of their medical rooms, for example, it looks like a hospital room. And I think the kids can envision themselves doing that work just by being in that space.
I've gotten to touch since that project a few others at the Waterloo Career Center, Cedar Rapids College and Career Readiness, and then the Ankeny Innovation Center, which will start construction soon. And just the opportunities kids are getting, the level of what those spaces are providing for them, the industry partners that are on the ground helping teachers figure it out. And I think one of the most interesting stories out of those, Lisa, is you talked about kids raising the bar. As soon as you put them in a space that feels professional, kids want that. They want to be engaged. They want to feel connected to what they're doing, and they will achieve amazing things if you put them in the right kind of situations. And so being a part of projects like that really are changing Iowa education and doing that kind of boldly has been one of the best parts of my career, one of the most fulfilling parts.
And it has to be so gratifying when you walk through the Wilk to see those Apex kids heads down. They are working like professionals.
They are. And I go, I meet with teachers, I spend most of my days meeting with teachers, and they always say, oh, I don't think we can provide glass. That's a really big distraction for kids. And I say, if kids are engaged in what they're learning, it's not a distraction. Be more interesting. Give them something that really interests them. The garage door will not be a distraction for kids unless they're not interested in what they're doing.
And that's on the teachers.
The Wilk has been a beautiful kind of testament to that.
So that was your first.
Yes, that's my first.
Okay.
The second one is currently in construction, and it's an addition onto Indianola High School. And I live in Indianola. I was fortunate. My husband is from there, and we moved there 9 years ago because his family is from there. And so about 5 years ago, had the opportunity of leading a bond referendum process in Indianola. I had been in the community about 3 years, didn't know a lot of people, and got the opportunity to lead a process to get a vote yes going for a bond referendum to change our high school. It was a 60s high school. It was fine, but not really supporting the community.
Would they call that mid-century modern?
It was not quite that elegant. It was not mid-mod as you look at it. A space that was missing a lot of daylight for students, really hard to navigate, had been added on to a bunch of times, like a lot of Iowa schools. And was blessed to interview for that project and win that, and then get the opportunity to work in my own community for the last 5 years. Got to know a lot of people in my community that way. Cool. Really got to engage, lead a campaign, get out and talk to people, and have made lifelong connections from going through that process. And then got to work with the teachers. Once we got a vote yes on that project, got to meet with teachers and staff. And a few months ago, I got to walk my daughter, who's 8, through the halls, and it's under construction right now. She put a hard hat on, she put her neon vest on, and got to walk her through the halls of the school that she's going to go to in a few years. And so being able to drive by
gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, my nieces and nephews are going there right now. They're not so happy that it's under construction and they have to park a little farther away, Aunt Laura, but being able to do something in your own community just really means a lot, which is part of the reason for Unison Design Studio. We want to work here. We want to work in the communities that we live in. It just means more.
Yep, and being able to drive by those facilities, it has to be so meaningful. Talk about the location. So where is Unison?
Yeah, so we just opened. We actually just moved into our office 2 weeks ago, and we're at 1312 Locust, which is the old Americana building in Bash. We're up in the upper level of that. So on the second floor
space.
We look out west. We get a little glimpse of the sculpture park. So excited to be kind of in the heart of downtown Des Moines. And really, we've moved into our space 2 weeks ago. It's a pretty simple space. We're all working in one open space together, and that's part of the beauty of it. We're all listening to each other, talking. And one of the beautiful things about being a small company is we get to all just make decisions together. Someone turned around the other day and said, well, how are we handling this? And when I said, I don't know, let's just talk about it. And we made a decision and we're done. That's how we're going to do it.
Wow.
And so being able to truly be nimble in size is one of the best things so far.
One of the other industries you said that you specialize in is historic preservation.
Yep.
Talk about some of those preservation projects that you've been a part of.
Yeah, so I've gotten to work on a few of those kind of in my career. One of them was the Warren Cultural Center. That's in Greenfield, Iowa. And if you've never been there, you should take a trip. It's the old Greenfield Opera House. And so that was a project where it was a 100-year-old building, a community kind of nonprofit group wanted to buy the building and restore it. They raised, I think it was almost $4 million in the small town of Greenfield, Iowa, to do a restoration on it and open a cultural center. So that's definitely a fun project. Tax credits involved, but to see a community group kind of rally around a building like that to infill their square was really, really cool. I've gotten to do some restoration work. The Courtyard by Marriott, which is in Waterloo. It's an old John Deere Tech Works building.
I didn't know you were a part of that.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It was a really fun project to be a part of, to take the bones of this factory building and put a branded hotel into it. Lots of parties to kind of navigate between State Historic Preservation Office, we call them SHPO, and an owner, and also a national brand, but really a great project kind of infilling and respecting the manufacturing roots of Waterloo.
So I worked in commercial interiors for a hot minute, and I don't know, it might have been my third or fourth meeting trying to build consensus around a table on the color of leather that they were going to put on the chairs. Takes a special kind of patience.
It does.
I looked at myself, Laura. I looked in the mirror and I said, I don't think this career is for you. I couldn't do it. How do you, with a diverse group of people with opinions, navigate through those decision-making processes, keeping them all friendly?
Well, I think that you always have to realize that we're going for consensus. We're never going to get to unanimity. We're never all likely going to agree. Aesthetics are something that's very personal to people. And you have to kind of have tough skin when it comes to being an architect. You also have to be okay that they're not going to like every single time. And it is an iterative process to keep going. Like the first thing you put out there, they're never going to love it as you look at it. But I think really listening first. We try to always start by not saying, oh, what do you want your building to look like? But really learning what what our clients are doing in the space, what their vision for how they live in the space is, not what their vision for, is it wood or is it steel? Is it pink or is it purple? But what's the feeling of the space going to be? What's it going to look like when you're in the space every day? How are you going to define success in this space? And starting from a kind of bigger, broader vision and then getting down into different palettes and looking at it. But it's not always easy, especially when you have a group of 50 teachers in a building and you have to pick what color every classroom is going to be. You're never going to make them all happy, and you have to be okay with that too.
And talk about a time that they brought you an idea that you knew would not work and you had to hold a line.
Yeah, I think it is a hard piece of what we do, is making sure, everyone has a decorator friend at home or has, done a little bit of design in their background. And I think that what you really have to do is take that idea that they bring to you and understand the reason behind it. The solution that they came up with might not be the right solution, but what was their thinking? You have to be excited that they care and that they have put time and energy into thinking about a solution, but really get them talking more about the why. What was it that you liked? Is it that you wanted these two spaces next to each other? Did you want that big wow when you walked in and what we were showing you didn't give you that big wow? And getting them to talk more about it, and then usually then helping them understand, well, we can do that, but here's the things that don't work about it. Architecture is super complicated. We work with a ton of professionals in structural engineering and mechanical and electrical and plumbing, and we have building codes, and it's really complicated. And so getting people to understand that we have to get all of those things to work too, but let's make sure we understand what you were really looking for. What was that moment that you had in this kind of idea, and let's get that incorporated.
Talk about the length of time that it takes on a typical project from idea to completion?
A lot longer than you want it to.
No kidding.
There was a project. I was fortunate to work on the new Cedar Falls High School at my former job, and we started that project in 2019. And kids just moved into it last fall in 2024, and so that's a long time. Usually, on a giant new school, it's going to take a year to just design it before anyone moves dirt on it. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to build it. That's not all projects. Sometimes fast track small projects do happen. We make decisions quickly. And a lot of times we can move as fast as people can make decisions. But a lot of times you find you don't usually get an owner that's like 100% knows exactly what they want. They have all their financing ready. Let's hit go on it. So projects, I've had some that are 4-week projects and some that we've designed for 2.5 years. So no real answer to standard.
It's the gamut.
Longer than you think, usually.
Period. All right, let's talk about the fear and anxiety that you have had starting this new enterprise, knowing that the economy has an impact on new construction.
I think that it's one of the bigger risks. I'm not a risk taker by nature. And so it's definitely something that we've had to lean into relationships. In order to take this jump, we had to know that we had strong relationships that were going to carry us through this time. I think also going in with a path of being intentionally small to start without visions of growing really big have really helped to kind of manage that risk.
Good.
We've been really fortunate so far that the work has come. The work that we hoped would come with us as we were talking and planning about this kind of has come, but definitely out there hitting the ground running, trying to forge relationships and new relationships as we go. Kind of saying yes to a lot of stuff right now, which is exciting. We had all kind of gotten into some pretty strong niches of we only do big projects that are this kind of project. And so right now we're saying yes to a lot of things, and it's exciting to kind of get those new partnerships. But I know that we'll make it through this, but it's definitely one of the kind of bigger risks and timing wise. But what we've found is really those relationships that's what matters in the end. And it's what matters to our clients too.
Well, and I will tell you, even in my life, I own a consulting firm. Mm-hmm. And if you do the right thing by people, word spreads.
Yep.
Conversely, if you don't, that word spreads as well. So you just have to really know that what you're doing is right, and that's going to spread.
I think that has really been our message as we've talked to people is we were all looking for some more focus. We wanted to be able to focus on our projects, have some clarity, have space to focus on our clients and their work instead of all of the other noise that had come kind of in the work that we were doing. And our clients have understood that. That has resonated really well with them, that we're doing this not just for us, but also for you, has been a big part of it.
So we've talked about the past projects that you've been a part of. Anything in the future that you're looking at that you're super excited about?
I think that right now there's not that one single project. We haven't gotten a big project yet. I'm waiting for that first big win, Lisa.
Awesome.
But what's been exciting so far is new opportunities. I have worked only in schools for a while, and kind of getting out there and remaking connections with people in other industries over the last few weeks has been really good. Going after new projects, talking to people about it has been really fun. I think one of the best things has been all of the support that we've gotten. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for people to say, wow, I'm really proud of you. Wow, that's amazing. I thought I was going to have a lot of clients that were mad at me for leaving them in the middle of our project or not understanding. And it wasn't that case at all. It was mostly so much support from people that I've known for my whole entire life, kind of pushing us forward. And that's the way it's been for all of us. So that's been kind of the best part so far.
Well, and I will tell you, I can't remember, I think I read it on LinkedIn that you had started this new entity, and I'm so stinking proud of you.
I appreciate it, Lisa.
So for those of you that don't know, Laura and I know each other from her leading the cheer team that my daughter cheered on. She was a competitive cheerleader all the way through, and the enthusiasm and support that you brought to Chloe, I can only imagine how well equipped your team is. Just because I saw the support that you gave her and your clients as well. I'm sure they experienced the same thing.
I think that whenever I talk to people about what to do in college, I always say work a second job. And you were part of my second job in college that then became my second job also after college when I decided to be an architect and coach cheerleading at night. But I wouldn't have done it any other way. The ability to work with young people to learn those coaching skills has taken me so far as a professional. A lot of times when I'm on a job site dealing with, 45-year-old contractors that are rough and gruff, I say, this is not that different than an 8-year-old cheerleader.
Worse yet, a 14 or 15-year-old cheerleader.
We can work through these issues together.
Right.
So those skills have taken me a long way. And it's also really cool to have been able to touch and work with so many young people that now are their own amazing young professionals.
Yeah, it's a great legacy to leave, and knowing that you can do that with the team that you're working with right now. If you were to sit in that chair, let's say in 5 years, and you're looking back over the last 5 years, what are your hopes for your company?
I hope that we do all the things that we have dreamed that we're going to do. I think a few of those are doing work locally that makes an impact. We want to make sure that the projects that we're doing impact our community in a positive way. I also hope that we have figured out our transition plan for the next generation of leaders of our company, because we have some amazing individuals that have followed us, and we want to make sure they're on ground zero with us, and we want to make sure they're a part of our future, and that we've worked through that transition.
Because they took a risk too.
They maybe took a bigger risk in saying, I want to come with you.
Yeah, so kudos to them. Well, I couldn't be more excited for you, and I hope you do come back. You get that big project, come in and we'll talk about it, all right?
Good.
All right, thanks a bunch for coming in.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Thank you for tuning in to Made in Iowa. Subscribe, like, and share wherever you listen. Catch episodes weekly from the Iowa Everywhere studio on the BPC streaming network.